We go. Hey, everybody. How are you? This is Ralph Perez, and this is Pablo right over here on this side. And
Hey,
welcome for the first episode of the Lightsaber Cafe. Yep, where we talk all things Star Wars. It's all about Star Wars stuff, and it's a cafe. I have my coffee, right?
wait,
Pablo has his
I gotta show
coffee.
mine too.
And there it is. We got Star Wars mugs right here. Pablo has a very diverse one there. Every character's on the mug, and mine's is just the Rebel Alliance symbol with coffee is strong in this one. So the coffee is strong in this one. Since it's a cafe, I also have food. I have a bagel with cream cheese.
I don't have that. Sorry.
Right? Pablo doesn't have that. But I'm gonna be nibbling on this like some mouse during the time we're here. Like now. And also I set up my lightsabers. Here is the Luke Skywalker Return of the Jedi lightsaber, the green one, right? From the company Saber Forge. I have that set up right here. I have the Darth Vader lightsaber from episode 4 right here. And that's all I'm going to show. Actually, no, I'm not. Hold up. I also have the from Empire Strikes Back, Luke's / Anakin's lightsaber
Ray Skywalker.
with the ability to. She said Ray Skywalker. You heard that, right? I got issues with that. That's going to be another topic for another movie, even though we could probably mention it here. But it's from the company Dark Wolf Sabers, actual awesome company that, believe it or not, is produced here in the Bronx.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, the guy when I ordered this, the guy noticed my address, and he emailed me asking me, "Do you want to just pick it up to avoid the the shipping?" I'm at this address, not far from Co-op City. I was like, "Oh snap!" So I went over there, met the guy, real nice guy. We chatted for a bit, and he makes these things. There's a connection to China though, where I don't know what the connection is technically, but he's the one that it goes to, and it's pretty good. So I was very happy. He actually threw in a couple of cool knickknacks along with that lightsaber, like a lightsaber stand, which I'm using right now for this lightsaber. So this is our first lightsaber cafe.
I don't have any lightsabers to show. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. It's not necessary. However, what is necessary is obviously our fanship and our love for Star Wars. And both Pablo and I have spoken many times about this in different situations where our love for Star Wars goes back to when we were kids, when we were first exposed to it. How old were you, Pablo?
Well, I was 6 when I first saw the original Star Wars in the movie theaters.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember much about it.
Okay.
So the first time that I fell in love with Star Wars was when Empire Strikes Back came out. And that's when I really got into the toys as well. Like
Oh,
that
no.
Christmas, I got all the toys, like all the action figures. And forget it. After that, yeah.
I remember I was 8. And I remember that Christmas I was already getting Star Wars toys because I was screaming for them. I wanted to collect all 12. There were 12 action figures. Only 12 at the time from that first movie. And I wanted to get every single one of them. And I eventually did. And then, of course, I got my toys too. I got, I think the first two I got was the X-Wing fighter and the TIE fighter. So that was great. I remember that. This is a love that we go back with, and since then, there's been not only the movies, but the books, the novels, the comics, the lore, just continue to expand. And then when Disney bought it from George Lucas, a little under a decade ago at this point, they wanted to take it further, right? So as soon as we found out that we're making 3 more films, that was a sequel trilogy, we were excited, right, Pablo?
Of course.
We were very excited. And when The Force Awakens, Episode 7 came out, and it was just that, we loved the crap out of it. Remember how we loved it?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that something? That movie, gave us so much.
That was an event. Well, what year did that come out? Was it
2015?
Okay, so 2015. So I remember we went to see it at the Alamo Draft House, and the Alamo Theater, like, they go all out when these type of movies premiere.
Right.
And I remember walking in, and everyone that worked there was dressed like in Star Wars like outfits, and they decorated the whole place and everything. And then when you walked into the actual theater, they had a drone of the Millennium Falcon flying around inside the theater.
What?
And people, were dressed up. People had lightsabers, and then they did a little skit. Like the staff did a little skit.
Get out.
Yeah, so it felt like an event. And my kids were at that age. They were like 12, 13. They were at the age where, like, that was, it left an impression on them.
That's great.
And they fell in love with the movie. And so the movie itself, I mean, we can talk about, later on after, kind of like you watched it a couple of times and you really start to think about the movie itself.
Right.
And all its problems and everything. But the experience on that night, just watching Han Solo and Chewbacca and, and even the new characters like Rey.
Yeah.
And Finn, and it was just an experience that I'll never forget. And you fall in love with Star Wars all over again. And
it was great.
Yeah. So for all its faults, at least it did that. It brought
a lot of people
back.
complained about that one because it's just like Episode 4. It's the same idea. It's the same concept. They kind of copied it. And I was like, okay, I could see where that was, but it wasn't that much of a copy. Like that's the way I kind of looked at it. And then something happened, Pablo. What happened?
The best one of the sequel trilogies came out.
No, this happened. The Last Jedi.
Great movie, by the way.
Yeah, okay. And this is where Pablo and I differ, right? I remember the night I went to see this. I was excited. I was amped. I was like, oh, God, this is going to be great. And then we went to see this. And then what's the first thing that happens? What's the first red flag for me was when Luke tossed the lightsaber over his shoulder. And I was like, what? What the hell was that? Right? That was the first red flag. And as the movie kept on going and it kept on, I went home that night feeling disappointed. And it was very hard for me because that was the very first Star Wars movie that I went home disappointed about. Because with the prequels, with Episode 1, especially with Jar Jar Binks and all of that, I still went home satisfied. Now, granted, as time went on, I was like that, like the only part I watched from Episode 1 is the Darth Maul, Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi fight. That's all I watch because that's the best part of the whole movie, right?
So you're saying that Episode 1 is better than The Last Jedi?
Yes. That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. Because here's the thing. For different reasons. One, it didn't fall by the wayside. It didn't go somewhere else. It didn't have a big statement to make, and I'll explain that later. It didn't have some real surreal situations that came up. We knew that it was about the Emperor's eventual rise to power, and we started seeing that in that movie. Palpatine, how he kind of like schemed in there to become Chancellor. That grabbed me, okay? That kind of thing. And then when I like, which was a foreign concept at the time, but there were books and other lore that came out that kind of helped sustain and helped us understand what that meant. So yeah, I grew a better respect for the prequels in general, including episode 1. Is episode 1 my favorite? No. No, but is it better than this? Yeah.
So what else about The Last Jedi other than what you said?
Oh, what else?
Yeah, what
Okay.
else like bothers
I got you.
What about the okay, get and then I'll
I got you. I'll hold on for a second. I'll show you right now, if you allow me.
you got notes? You
I
brought
got-
receipts?
I got things to show. Give me a sec. If you give me a second. Yeah. There you go.
What was wrong with that?
Wait, hold on for a second. Where are you? Oh my God, I lost myself. Wait. Where? Hello? I can't find you.
I'm still here.
Hold on for a second. There. Wait, is that you? Oh, you know what it is? Hold on for. There it is. Okay, I'm sorry. I got lost. Yeah, this StreamYard thing can be a little tricky. Yeah. What's wrong with that? It looks stupid. First of all, they blew her up in the thingy, and I was like, oh my God, right? And then she did this Mary Poppins crap, and I understand you're powerful in the Force, and okay, I get it, but really, was there a better way to present this than like this? You know what I mean? So yes, I had you. You didn't have a problem with this, Pablo?
No, not
Why
at
not?
all.
Tell
Not
me.
at all. I felt that they wanted to portray Princess Leia as a strong Force user, and if this was Luke or even Ray or someone strong in the Force, and they did this, I don't think people would have had any problems. But I think it's because it was Princess Leia and she wasn't seen as a Jedi. Maybe they had problems. But I thought it was part of the story and it fit the story well. I think Ryan Johnson, and I'm a big fan of Ryan Johnson, by the way. I think that he was telling a story, a Star Wars story, and I think he told it well. Yes, he took some big swings. The whole story arc with Luke Skywalker when he threw away the lightsaber. I understand that people had issues with that. I didn't, because it was part of his like redemption arc. Like Luke already did everything. Well, first of all, we didn't really need the sequels. Okay, let's just say that. Return of the Jedi was a good ending, right?
Yeah,
They-
it was
they-
actually. That
yeah,
was
they-
another
they-
thing. Yeah.
They could have ended right there, and that's fine. So they didn't.
Yeah.
But if they're going to bring back these legacy characters and they're going to continue with the story, then you need a story arc again. Then the characters need a story arc, and that's the one that they gave Luke Skywalker. He needed some sort of a redemption arc. That J.J. Abrams was the one who actually introduced that, because J.J. Abrams was the one that sent Luke off to some deserted island, and everybody was looking for him. So it wasn't really Ryan Johnson who kind of did that.
Well, the way I would have looked at it was like if you were gonna have Luke isolated in some island, I would have tried to do something that was akin to maybe how Yoda was isolated in Dagobah. He was isolated in Dagobah, but he did not deny his Force powers.
Mhm.
He was ready to teach Luke when he showed up. And that's how Luke should have been with Rey as soon as she showed up.
Could have been a little redundant. You know?
Oh,
And look at Obi-Wan. And if you look at Obi-Wan's Disney Plus show,
oh yeah,
you know,
he was kind of like,
he was very similar. He kind of like withdrew from the forest, he moved away, and then he had a really good redemption arc too. And I
yeah,
think it
but
worked. So I know what Ryan Johnson was. He took a big swing. Many people didn't like it. Many purists didn't like it. But I thought it worked.
okay.
Now, of course, Last Jedi had its problems and everything, but if you look at it as an overall as a movie, and even like a standalone movie, I think it's a solid movie. It's enjoyable, and there's some really great set pieces, and I really, really enjoyed Last Jedi.
The only part I liked in The Last Jedi was when Kylo Ren and Rey were fighting the guards after he killed off Snoke. Well, and that was another thing I didn't like. J.J. Abrams presents this mysterious character, right? Supreme Leader Snoke. We're like, who the hell is this guy? Where did he come from? What's he about? Right? We didn't know. We didn't know Jack. And by the time The Last Jedi ended, guess what? We still didn't know Jack.
I'll give you that. I think that's where they dropped the ball. They didn't have an overall 3-part trilogy like story.
Right. And that's the problem. They made it up as they went along.
They made it up as they went along. And J.J.
that's
Abrams,
the problem.
That's one of his criticism, that I think what they call it Pandora's box, or mystery box, the mystery, something like that. That he introduces what are known like these mystery boxes that he doesn't know where the story is going to go. He just kind of makes it up. He did that with Lost, and he introduces a lot of really cool stuff, but then he doesn't know where to go with that. And I think he did the same thing with Snoke. And Ryan Johnson said, you know what? I don't think he's really the main villain of this story. I think Kylo Ren is the main villain in the story. So let's kill off Snoke. I thought that was good. I thought that was good that they killed him off to really show that.
But you said they dropped the ball.
No, J.J. Abrams and Disney overall dropped the ball when it came to the 3-movie trilogy.
Okay.
Like they didn't have, I don't think that was necessarily Ryan Johnson's problem. I think that they gave him this one film to work with, and he decided to contain it and make it into just one story. And so I think that, it worked. And then they brought back J.J. Abrams. They retconned a lot of stuff, and the last one I thought was a mess. But I still enjoy the last one. I can sit there and watch it.
I haven't seen it in a while.
Because at the end of the day, it's still a Star Wars movie. Yeah, so I enjoy it. I think that what happens a lot of times, especially with social media, and now and everybody's a critic and everything, and they analyze and overanalyze everything, that it becomes like this hate sometimes just for hate's sake. And I'm like, okay, if you didn't like it, or you didn't like certain things about the movie and things like that, okay, but I mean, this hatred that sometimes the Star Wars fandom brings, and to the point that they make like the actors of these movies, like they have to like leave social media and they attack them. So like I don't understand. And that is a problem with.
Well, one thing that I had a problem with, admittingly, in spite of how much I didn't like this movie, was that whole stupidity about putting out a petition to make a different version.
Yeah, that's silly. Like people forget how difficult it is to make a movie to begin with.
Yeah.
It's like, you have a problem, you go out there and make a Star Wars movie. Let's see how good you can do it.
You make a Star Wars movie. See how that? I'll be like, I can make a Star Wars movie. Look, pew, pew. Pew.
Go buy some lightsabers. I know a place in the Bronx that sells some lightsabers.
Hey, that was me telling everybody that.
Oh, that's okay. That's you. Okay.
Hey, Tony Movie Chap. Let me say hi to some people. Tony Movie Chap is here. Frankie is here. Mari's here, and Lenore is here. So, thank you. very humble beginnings to the
I'm,
Saber
I'm curious
Cafe.
to see that those that are watching, like, what are their
Well,
quick take
Frankie,
on Last Jedi?
this is what Frankie says. Ralph, at this point, anything with Lucas, I prefer much more than the current Star Wars films. And that's another reason why I prefer the prequels over the sequel trilogy, because at least it's coming from the guy who created it. Who it's your look, it fits your baby, and you want to introduce the stupid duck looking guy called Jar Jar Binks, as annoyed as everybody was, as I was. It's still George Lucas.
I have an issue with that.
What do you
And
mean?
I have an issue with that. With a lot of people bring up George Lucas, George Lucas, George Lucas. People have forgot that when the prequels came out, everyone crapped on it and they bashed George Lucas. And now that George Lucas like had it, so I'm gonna walk away there. I'm gonna sell this and walk away. And now George Lucas.
I wonder
But
if George Lucas is sitting somewhere going,
yeah.
see how you like that.
Now I love George Lucas for what he brought this universe to us and everything.
Oh my God, absolutely. We're in
But don't forget that he's not that great of a director, And
True.
when he did Star Wars, his first cut of Star Wars, like he showed it to his friends, showed it to Spielberg and all that, and they hated it. If it wasn't for the editing
And the music.
and the music, of course, yeah.
I have John Williams in there. He kind of,
He didn't do Empire Strikes Back, which is
Right.
considered the best Star Wars movie.
It's still the best.
And if you look at
Concern.
Return of the Jedi, I mean, Return of the Jedi is a lot of fun, but it does have its...
It doesn't. I thought, you know what? It felt like it was a little rushed. Return of the Jedi, like it was like we're like, wait a minute, okay, we got Jabba, now we got Vader, now we got Yoda dying, we got Vader again, and Ewoks, it was like it happened so fast.
Yeah.
Everything happened so fast, Oh, Lenore wants me to have croissants next week as opposed to the bagel.
Okay, cool.
Okay, I gotta produce croissants next time. So the way I look at it, it's you're right. I agree with you about that. But let's go back to the point of how they made it up as they went along. Now, is it true that George Lucas already had a synopsis for the sequels?
I think he had a treatment. Yeah.
He had a treatment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And instead of them trying to roll with that, they threw it out the window, I heard,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they said, well, let's just make stuff up as we come along. Because we're Disney and we can make anything, which is not true. They cannot. Okay? So that's the thing that bugs me the most. I mean, fine. George Lucas didn't direct Empire Strikes Back. But that treatment was sure as hell his, I bet, right?
Oh yeah, he wrote it. I think he's a great writer. I mean,
Right.
look at all the Indiana Jones movies.
Exactly. So you got all that going on. So they could have just followed suit that way, right? But instead, they just threw the whole concept out the window and wanted to start from a blank slate. And that was the fatal mistake, in my opinion. That was the fatal mistake. That's why The Last Jedi turned out, in my opinion, horrible. Luke, okay, we know, okay, he was on this island, fine. Sure. He had his reasons. But, the whole thing with the first Jedi temple and all that jazz, right? They could have, in my view, they could have focused more on that. There should have been more concentration on that as opposed to a half an hour of Canto Bight, the Atlantic City of the galaxy, which pissed me off. I
didn't like that either. I thought that was the weak part of
that was so stupid.
Movie.
It was so stupid. I'm like, really? It just irked me, that whole Canto Bight thing. But they should have focused more on Luke's arc. I would have expected him to die. It's not that I didn't want him to save the day. Mm-hmm. Sure, you want Rey to be the main, fine. I was okay with that. But don't make Luke Luke just was too weak to me. Everything that he learned, everything that he went through in the original trilogy, the losses, the revelations of him being Darth Vader's son, all of that, And for all of that to finally, and then the whole, and then when you throw in the whole concept of Vader being the chosen one, right? Like the idea was that by him killing the Emperor, right? By him throwing the Emperor down the shaft like that in the Death Star, he fulfilled the prophecy. He set balance to the Force. He destroyed the Sith once and for all, including himself, because he was a Sith, right? So to me, I feel like it was that that should have made him a stronger person in The Last Jedi. Stronger, not fine. He had his reasons for isolating himself, but if he really didn't want to find anybody to find him, do you really think he would have given a map to R2D2, the missing piece? Huh?
Well, that's what they tried to retcon in the third one. That he was looking for, what's it called? The hollow, the hawk, the thing that he was looking for it all along with Lando, and that's why he gave the map to R2.
Oh, not the whole. It looks like you're talking about that. The Wayfinder.
Yeah, isn't that what Luke was looking for?
Wayfinder.
Yeah, wasn't he looking? He was looking for that with Lando. That was the whole.
I didn't catch that, really.
And that's why That's why R2 had the map of where he was all along, or something like that. Right?
You know what? I didn't know that.
Ask the people in the comments.
Is that true? Anybody in the comments? Well, Frank is already still.
Remember,
I'm
not a Star Wars expert. I'm a Star Wars fan.
We're fans.
Yeah, fans. So so a lot of this stuff I can get wrong, and. Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, Spaceballs 2: The Search for More Money. Remember that? Mm-hmm. That was great. Lenore says, "I agree. Luke seemed weak to me too." Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like it's a constant, like. And I expected him to die. To be honest with you, I would have. I was ready to see that, but I didn't expect to see him die the way he did. Using the Force to teleport himself as a projection or an image on that planet, Crate, I believe it was called. Mm-hmm. Where him and I knew there was something up when when Kylo Ren ignited his lightsaber, and then Luke Skywalker produced this. As soon as he produced this and turned it on Crate, I was like, wait a minute. He shouldn't be having that lightsaber. Where's the green one? Why does he have that one? Doesn't Rey have that? And wait a minute, didn't that break? We saw it break into two when her and Kylo Ren were using the Force to take it. Remember? Mm-hmm. And then it split in two. So already, I was wondering, what the hell is that about? Mm-hmm. See, it didn't make sense to me. And then finally, when it showed that he was just an image, and that was enough to kill him, I was like, no, I would have preferred to him to have actually been on Crate. Not to mention he looked a little bit more well groomed and younger on Crate than he did on the where he was.
Well, I mean, if you're going to use the Force to protect yourself, right? The first thing you're going to do is going to make yourself look younger, right? A little bit more groomed, right? I mean, I would too, If I look a mess and I have to protect myself, I'm going to make myself look, lose a little.
Yeah, but if you're,
lose about maybe 20 pounds here, a little slimmer.
I don't know. I don't know. Like if I was a Jedi and had that ability, considering the situation, I think that they would have. I know it's funny, but
this is what we talk. This is the conversation.
This is the conversation we're having. I'm telling you, we're talking old stuff, Star Wars here. It doesn't matter, right? That's my point of this whole thing. That we talk about anything and everything about Star Wars. But if we're gonna nitpick here, and I think I am nitpicking, I would have just looked the same way to give everybody the sense of, oh wow, look what's happened to you. You're a mess, But no, you look younger, your hair is darker,
a little haircut,
beard is more well groomed.
Yeah, of course.
I was like,
Got the power, right? Why
And then
not?
you produce the same lightsaber we saw break apart a little while before. Like that's the part that messed me up. I was like, what? And then I realized it was a projection. I was like, oh God, really? It just irked me. And how about this for a thought? Kylo Ren should have noticed that lightsaber, and already it just should have realized, hey, didn't I just see that lightsaber break a little while ago? Ray and I were fighting over that just a little while ago. How does he have that same lightsaber in his hand?
Maybe in all his rage, he couldn't focus or.
Oh yeah, in all his rage, he recognized that when Finn had it in The Force Awakens, that lightsaber belongs to me. He knew exactly whose lightsaber that was. You see my point? It drives me nuts, Pablo. It's just it's hard for me.
But is that enough to like ruin a whole movie? Like just
no, but it's definitely a building block to it because it's like one thing about the prequels, at least you had to give them that was its consistency. It was consistent in its story arc from 1 to 3. Okay? What was 1 to 3 about? It was about Anakin Skywalker and, when we see him when he was a kid and and then, okay, right? But then they end up, but with this, like I told you before, they made it up as they went along. And these are the little details a Star Wars fan would be like, what the hell was that? Like it didn't make sense to me.
You would take the prequels over the sequels?
Yes.
Really?
Yup.
Attack of the Clones.
Even with that, even with its forced, which I believe, out of the 3 films, I even dare say that Attack of the Clones was the weakest of the 3. Weakest.
Attack of the Clones was the weakest of all of them.
Because of the stupid George Lucas isn't good on romance. So the whole thing about Anakin and Padme and I love you. I can't breathe without you. I'm like, what is this Shakespeare crap?
Well, it's bad dialogue.
It is bad dialogue. I agree. Mm-hmm. I agree. But then, but it was still consistent. It was a still consistent flow. We knew about the Clone Wars. We've heard about it from the very first movie. You fought in the Clone Wars? Remember when Luke asked Obi-Wan that? And everybody was like, what the hell was the Clone Wars? Right?
Was this before or after Luke looked right into the lightsaber when Obi-Wan handed it to him?
It was before Obi-Wan handed him the lightsaber.
And he looked right into it and said, what is this? Right?
No. No.
Get demonstrated. You
Obi-Wan
went what did Luke do?
He went, your father wanted you to have this when you were old enough. But your uncle wouldn't allow it. Well, your father's lightsaber is the weapon of a Jedi Knight. You see, I got the whole, I could do the whole screenplay of episode 4. Like it's all in my head. But first he asked about the Clone Wars, and the point was the Clone Wars was something that was always there from the very beginning. And if capitalized, the prequels capitalized on that. That was good.
I understand the story and everything, and it was consistent and it all made sense. But the problem with the prequels for me was that it was boring, especially part 2. It was just boring. And
it was, I'm not saying it didn't have its fault. Yeah,
the point of a movie is to entertain you. And I was bored to death with Attack of the Clones. And I mean, Revenge of the Sith saved it, but even that one was, it had its issues. Like, yeah, the prequels I'm not a fan of, but then again, I'm not gonna crap on it and say, I'm gonna say there was some good parts in it, and it's part of the whole Star Wars lore and everything, and I'll accept it, and I'll go back and watch them. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the prequels. I'm more of a fan of the sequels.
Really? Yeah. I'm out of all 3 sets, obviously the original trilogy is still top of the notch. You know what I mean?
Of course. You can't.
But Frankie agrees with you. Clones was boring. Mm-hmm. Marty says, have you seen Frankie and I dress up as Darth Vader and Queen? Frankie is her husband. They're married. Okay. And I haven't seen it. I would love you guys to send me a picture of you two guys dressed like that. I was dressed up as Darth Vader for a couple of. I bought a like expensive Darth Vader costume. Have you ever seen it, Pablo? Have you ever
No,
seen?
but I did have a Woolworths Darth Vader.
Me too.
costume.
I had the stupid with the rubber band.
Yep, that cuts right through your ears.
But I didn't wear the cape. My cape was authentically made by my aunt, my grandmother's sister. She had a sewing machine, and she made a nice, long, black, flowing cape.
That's cool.
That joint was hot. I was walking around, and people were impressed.
Remember going to Woolworths and grabbing the box of all the costumes on Halloween, and in the box in the front was like the mask. So
the mask was in the front. You could see it through the film. Yeah, I remember that. God, let's see. What costumes did I wear from that era? Spider-Man?
I had Luke. Yeah, I had Luke, and I had Darth Vader.
I was Darth Vader for 3 years straight. I was obsessed. And like, he's such a bad guy. I'm like, yeah, but he's mad cool. No, but the costume I bought about a decade ago, I haven't worn it since because the shit is hot.
I can imagine.
It's really authentic. Like it had everything, like the cape, the armor, the boots, the shin guards, everything, and the mask. I still have the mask. I have the mask right up there, and I show it off as a prop now. But the cape was amazing. I'm gonna send you pictures after this. And I'll post pictures next week.
Yeah,
here.
I was gonna say, yeah, you should.
I should have. I didn't know we were gonna go this way with it. Frankie had the whole costume. Frankie, was yours like very? Because mine costed $600. I don't. It's probably a lot more these days because everything's more expensive. But mine was like $600, and I wore it like 2-3 times, and I couldn't stay in that for long because I sweated. I think I lost like 5 pounds walking around in that crap on Halloween. And of course, it helped with the lightsabers that I had. Huh? Yo, it was hot walking around with that thing, and then you lit it. Forget about it. That was the whole thing. I loved it. I'm going to put the link if anybody wants to. Jamel is here. Jamel, if you want to share in the discussion, if anybody, the Supreme Edition, that's the one I had. The Supreme Edition. It cost them. It didn't cost me $700. For me, it was $600. I don't know. Maybe I caught a sale or something. Hold on. Let me put the link again. I'm gonna post it, and anybody can join us. But I know Jamel, being Jamel.
Well, he's an expert. He's a Star Wars expert.
Oh yeah, Jamel knows his stuff. I would love to hear his.
Yeah, that's cool.
There it is. I would love the link is there. So Jamel, please, if you want to join us, by all means, if you're up to it. I hope you have coffee because this is the Star Wars Cafe. Okay. So, Frank just sent me a picture on my phone. Hold on for a second. This is gonna be cool. Oh my God, this looks just like the one I had. Look.
Oh wow, that's legit.
I had the same one. Watch, I'm gonna. You know what? I can show it off here, but it would probably take me longer. And since we're running the show, I don't want to keep everybody waiting. Imagine everybody just like, and I'm like, hold on. Not gonna do that. So the link is up. Anybody else interested in partaking in the discussion, or you could keep commenting in the comment section. That's okay too. All right. So you like The Last Jedi?
I really liked it. Yes. I think if I go back and I like The Force Awakens, that has more replay value. I can go back and watch that one. But of the three, I think The Last Jedi was the more solid movie. It was better directed. The pacing was better.
We could definitely talk about The Last Skywalker another time, but which was
Yeah.
also garbage in my opinion.
Now, see, I wouldn't even the prequels. I would not, you know, sometimes like, those like they have so negative connotations, like like saying the movie's garbage, like like even like Attack of the Clones, which is the ones that like the one I like the least. Like I would say boring. Even boring has negative
Okay,
things,
what about
but it's very slow and it's very hard to get into that one because
okay,
it just takes. But it does have some good set pieces. I think
what's the set piece you speak of?
the third act in Attack of the Clones, I thought was well done.
You mean the fight on Crate?
Is it great where they fight?
That's the name of the planet.
The arena. hmm
Wait, what movie are
We're
you
talking
talking
about
about?
Attack of the Clones.
Oh, Attack of the Clones. I'm sorry. I thought we were still talking about The Last Jedi.
Oh no, I said like I
Uh,
said, even that movie where I feel like it's very very slow and it's hard for me to watch that movie.
well, yeah. I mean,
You
I
know?
guess every movie has a third
Yeah.
act that has to like accumulate in something climactic, and that was
Yeah.
the start of the Clone Wars.
Yeah, and it's a good set piece.
Right.
Even the Phantom Menace has some very like the third act of Phantom Menace, the lightsaber battles. Is
Yeah,
still one of the best.
that's the
Yeah,
only thing.
yeah, of course. You know,
You know.
but I can't go back and watch the prequels over and over again. It's just very difficult. But the sequels I can. Yeah. So,
Oh my God.
but and even the Rise of Skywalker, I wouldn't say it's a garbage movie. I think it has some good parts and
I mean, to be honest with you, if I have to crap on the last, what's it called, The Rise of Skywalker, I would have just said, I would say the very beginning when Kylo Ren's looking for the Emperor. I kind of like that.
okay.
I kind of like that because you see Mustafar. I didn't know that was Mustafar when I first saw the movie. Did you know that was Mustafar? I didn't know that was Mustafar until later. I found out later. I was like, oh shoot, that was Mustafar. And he was, so that I enjoyed the connect there. But aside from that, it was just, after that it was like, and the third act was extremely weak in my opinion. In The Last Jedi,
Anticlimactic.
it was anticlimactic.
It didn't
That's a good way to say
work. It didn't work for me that Lando went and got everyone.
Yeah.
It didn't work. It was supposed to be this big thing. It was supposed to be the Avengers Endgame, kind of, and it didn't hit like that movie.
No,
did,
Avengers Endgame is its
Yeah.
own.
Yeah,
You can't duplicate something like that. Yeah, that was, and I forgot which one came out first.
Endgame.
Endgame came out first, right? Yeah, even though they tried to, I am all the Sith, and she was like, and I am all the Jedi. I was like, what the heck? Are you really trying to play that? It just bothered me. Another thing that bothered me was that Rey, I liked her character, but what I didn't like is how they pretty much said, Rey, guess what? You're a Force user, and here's the Force. Enjoy. That's my problem. Like, she didn't really have to train for it or learn the hard way. Luke did. He had to learn the hard way, and he was the son of the chosen one. And this girl comes out of nowhere. She knows how to fly a ship, and she never flew one.
But she's a Palpatine.
And she also knew how to force play mind games. Remember in Force Awakens, you will take off these things and let me loose. I was like, it says that, yeah, but we didn't know. And I bet, here's the thing. I don't think anybody who was making the Force Awakens at that time knew that she was a Palpatine either.
Yeah, that's true. I agree.
Let's be real. It's like she was, who is she? And then in the Last Jedi, what do we hear, Kylo Ren? You're nobody. You're nothing.
And that I liked. I liked that.
I don't mind the you're nobody, you're nothing, but then you turn that around in the
you're
last
right.
movie to make the connect.
Yeah. But I like that. I like the fact that that anyone could have been a strong Force user. The same thing why I really like the story of Spider-Man, where Peter Parker is just this, this nerd kid
Yeah.
who, so anyone can be, a superhero.
Right.
So when they tried to do the backstory in Amazing Spider-Man series, where it didn't work for me, I was like, why can't just any average person can become a superhero? So I that's why I like the fact that Ray was just someone who just happened to be able to be a Force user. And then when you see at the end the little kid who's sweeping,
Right.
and they kind of hint that he has um, he has Force powers. I like that. I like that ending. I actually thought the Last Jedi
You
ended
thought that
really
ending was
great.
good?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. I loved the fact what Ryan Johnson was trying, the story he was trying to tell. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm one of the few that actually really enjoyed the Last Jedi.
Well, I'm sure there's like at least 5 other people out there that you could relate.
Well, it made $1 billion, so a lot of people did go see
Hey,
it.
look who's here. Nate. Nate is here.
What's up, Nate? What does he think of Last Jedi?
That's a good question. Here, let me put the link up one more
Yeah,
time
I
because
always
nobody's
I
nobody's
always
biting.
appreciate his his commentary.
Yeah.
So mhm.
I don't know if Nate is a big Star Wars fan. I don't think he is, but oh, by the way, Nate is part of, for those of you who I'm going to plug in their stuff, Geeks and Flicks. They meet every other Monday at this time. So what I'm doing is I'm filling in the slot right now, so that way people can have something to still do on a Monday night if you got nothing else going on. Tune into the Star Wars Cafe, the Lightsaber Cafe, sorry, where we have coffee, where we have bagels, maybe a croissant, maybe a blueberry muffin. I'm gonna try to
Did you
get these.
trademark that Lightsaber Cafe?
What?
You're gonna
No,
have
I
Disney
should.
come
Right?
after you.
Should I trademark it? I don't know if I should trademark.
Yeah, I
it.
don't know. You can. Disney's gonna come after you.
Really? Because there's so many YouTube channels that says Star Wars Coffee. There's a channel called Star Wars Coffee. There is. And then there's another one called Star Wars Theory. Did they trademark it?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? So it's one of those things. I don't know. So yeah, these movies, like for me, The Last Jedi was a representation for me at least, of how this whole sequel trilogy just completely went awry for me. It didn't work. It just didn't work for me. It worked for you, Pablo. That's great. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I wish it made that impact for me, but it didn't.
Do you have hope for the new ones?
What new ones?
The new Star Wars movies that they're
Oh,
working
that's right. That's right. I have hope for, not for the one about Rey and the new Jedi Order. I don't have hope for that.
on. Wow, really?
I don't have hope for that. Will I see
that's
it?
the one
Of
I'm
course I'll
looking-
see it.
Yeah, that's the one I'm looking of all of them. I'm actually gonna see all of them, but that's the one that I'm actually more excited about.
Hey, look who's here. Nate. How you
Greetings.
doing, Nate? How you doing, Nate?
Greetings
May
and
the force be with you.
salutations.
And
May the force be with you.
And, maybe
And
with
also
you.
with you.
And also with you. Yeah.
And with your spirit. We're in mass?
Yeah. This is the Catholic. I'm the
This is the
Catholic.
Catholic thing.
The Catholic
Okay.
force.
The
Star
Catholic
Wars
force.
very religious.
Yeah.
People take this serious, right, Ralph?
Yeah, they're people.
I think they
What are you
officiate
trying to
weddings
say?
and everything.
Huh?
They like officiate weddings and everything to have like a
Yeah, it's
Sith Lord do
ridiculous.
that.
I mean, I was like, wow, you guys really take it to another level. They really stretch it. I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know, man.
I mean, you love what you love,
You love what you love, but come on,
Yeah.
there is fiction
Well-
and then there's reality. You know what I mean?
Tell
So
them
Nate,
that. Yes.
so Nate, we're having this discussion on The Last Jedi. So
Okay.
what's your quick take on it?
I think this is good because I know you guys are more diehard Star Wars fans than I am.
Okay.
So if you have one that I'm guessing, Pablo, I heard you liked it,
Yes.
and Ralph, you don't like it.
No.
Okay, as a casual, I'm a casual. I've seen all the movies,
Okay.
and the spin-off movies, and I watched 2 seasons of Mandalorian, and that's it. Anything else, I don't got it. But
Oh, okay.
I remember liking parts of that film, but not liking the whole entire movie. I was unsatisfied with most of the Luke Skywalker stuff in it. Personally, I don't like the way they treated him in that movie.
Yeah.
Other than I thought, and I hated the scene in the casino, the whole casino planet
I-
thing.
Yeah.
I
Oh
think
my
we all
gosh.
agree.
Even
on that
Pablo
one.
agrees with you. on
Okay,
that one.
literally it was so long that by the time it was over, I was like, I don't care anymore.
Here's
I
another
didn't
thing
know-
that bothered me.
And they didn't accomplish anything on that.
No,
It was
they
for
didn't.
nothing.
Yeah,
It was a
yeah.
dead.
There was no resolution.
Nothing got accomplished.
Yeah.
Here's another thing that bothered me. What they did to poor Poe Dameron.
Yeah.
Right? Like, okay, Leia's out of commission, and then they bring in this other woman. I forgot her character's name because she's
Oh,
Rose?
Laura Dern.
Laura Dern's character.
Oh,
And instead of her trying to fill him in, Poe Dameron, the main guy of the whole resistance, instead of filling him in with the plan, which she deliberately kept from him, she deliberately kept it from him, and it made him go nuts.
but if she's
Made him look like a freaking
but if she's
idiot.
a general and she's higher up there, you're not supposed. You follow orders. If you're under
But
her
Leia
command,
would have
you
told him.
just maybe Leia would have told her. But if you're following orders, if you're under her, she doesn't have to explain to you. If you're a grunt,
He wasn't a grunt.
and you don't. But he was still under her command.
He was
She
just
was
like a
still in
pilot.
charge.
Right?
Yeah, he was-
I mean,
he
he's
was a
not like
pilot.
the king pilot or anything.
He was a very good pilot, but so she
Well,
had
not to
no
mention,
reason.
he was also the guy that was sent
I
to
mean,
go
if-
get the information
but
about
if
where
the-
Luke might be.
But if the rebels were some sort of military, organization, and you're following that, that chain of command, you don't question. You follow orders. You don't question it. And so I'm okay with that. I'm okay that she didn't have to explain to. And also, then if she did, then that's exposition. They're explaining to us the movie.
I
And-
also hated the Rose character. I know you said Rose. I hated that character.
They really massacred that
And-
character.
and they know
there could have been so much more potential there.
well, they knew it was bad because in the next movie she's just nothing. She's just
She's
like
nothing.
takes
She's
a
just
backseat.
there, like, hey, how you doing? I'm Rose. Remember me?
Yeah,
like Jar
You
Jar.
know, that was it.
pretty
yeah,
much.
right?
Like, hey,
Jar Jar Binks. Yeah,
hey,
exactly.
look,
And
it's
this-
Rose. Hey.
In Attack of the Clones, they just put him to the back. I think he had like
Yeah.
one scene.
And I think visually that movie had some really cool stuff in it. Honestly, some of the better images. I love the ship, that scene where it goes like light speed through the other thing and the way it like shatters. Kind of like it looked amazing. The red room scene where they're
The
fighting,
use of
right?
colors was.
Oh my
the
gosh,
red the throne room when
Yeah.
Snoke got killed, which was stupid.
Yeah, I think there was some
shouldn't have killed
really
him off.
cool. There was some really cool imagery. I agree with that movie. It just did so many things that I feel like I get what he was going for. I think the real problem is in hindsight, it's even worse because they retconned or didn't really explain anything in the follow-up movie. Because that
They
movie
didn't.
got such a negative reaction that they're like, well, you know what? We're just gonna anything that happened there. It's almost like whatever. Oh, Rose was too much character. She's not gonna be a character. Oh, Snoke.
Oh,
we
here's
killed
the
Snoke
Emperor
too
now.
soon. Here's
Let's
the
bring back
Emperor.
the
He
Emperor.
somehow came back. Oh, here's the. It's like it makes it worse in hindsight to me. But I remember not loving it when I walked out the theater. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it.
I
Now,
walked
in
out
hindsight,
disappointed
I don't like
too.
it.
I
more.
walked out disappointed.
I think if The Last Jedi was just a sci-fi movie that wasn't attached to the Star Wars lore and it was just by itself, and Luke Skywalker wasn't Luke Skywalker, but just some, like an elder, force user, whatever they want. If it was by its, I think the movie would have been much better and people wouldn't have hated it as much. If you try to look at it through that, I think that Rian Johnson put together a really, really solid movie. Not one of his better ones because I'm a big fan of Rian Johnson, but I thought it was a solid movie. But because it was in the Star Wars umbrella, I think a lot of people just had issues with it, and that's just my take on it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who like it. I know a number of people who enjoy it.
I mean,
I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I'm not one of them. It's not my least favorite, but it's definitely like bottom 3. I think probably. I hate
Let
the
me-
last one more. I hate the last one more.
It made me appreciate the prequels more.
See,
It made me appreciate
I don't see that. I just don't see that. I have
because
this.
you know why you don't see it, Pablo? Because you enjoyed The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
That's why.
Well, I grew up with the prequels, though, technically. I mean, those are technically my Star Wars movies. I wasn't born when any of the first three came out.
Right.
And Phantom Menace came out when I was 12. So you're
Okay.
talking about, like, prime between 12 and when did the Revenge of the Sith? 2007, I think?
2005.
2005. Okay. So we're talking 12 to 18 for me when those three movies came out. That's like when I'm really getting into film. And I really like. I don't hate the Phantom Menace, honestly. I don't hate it. I
Neither
never
do
liked. I never liked Attack of the Clones. Even when I saw it when I was a teenager, I didn't like it.
I'm not a big fan of it, but
And
I
I
don't
think-
hate it.
I think Revenge of the Sith is good. So
Revenge of the Sith is my favorite of the three.
yeah, but I wouldn't. I agree with Pablo in the sense of I don't think The Last Jedi made me like those more. They just were. They're the same to me. They are what they were then.
Well, and that's fine. Everybody. Let me tell you, there's. I would love to see how many people out there actually, really enjoyed, The Last Jedi as opposed to hated it. Like I know Alex liked it, right, Nate? Alex
he?
said he liked it.
Yeah,
He probably did.
liked it.
He said he liked it.
Yeah.
You
He
know,
goes opposite a lot of like whatever everybody else likes, he don't,
right.
and vice versa. So I think he might like it though, but he likes Star Wars more than I
does.
do too.
He does like it.
Yeah.
I remember we had a conversation with him. But I tell you the truth, guys. If The Last Jedi is gonna leave any kind of an impact, you see, when The Force Awakens came out, like it was, the sky was the limit after that film. Like it could have gone in any direction. And I was excited to see what direction it went, and I just found myself just extremely disappointed.
Well, like I told you, they didn't have an idea for the trilogy. That's the
I know.
problem. Yeah,
That was
that's
the
problem.
mistake. They should have.
I agree.
The
I
other
agree
two
with you.
trilogies did.
They all felt like
it-
separate movies.
Yeah.
Like they weren't part of one.
And it irked me.
But
was
you know
wrong.
what? The same thing with the original, the original trilogy. I mean, it wasn't like when they were making Star Wars, they really had this whole raw. I mean, George Lucas had an idea, but it's not like The Empire Strikes
You need to
Back.
have 3 scripts done already.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Mhm. So that was
mean,
kind
and
of
those-
pieced together too.
Yeah, and now that you say that, those 3, honestly, I know it's a trilogy. The first, there are 3 trilogies, right? To me, the prequels are the only ones that feel like 3 super connected like stories. The first one, like, sure, it's the same characters, and yeah, what happens after the other one, but they have very distinct feels to them, each one of the original trilogy.
I agree with that.
To me, it
Mhm.
does not feel like one 3-act story, whereas the prequels feels like one 3-act story. I'm not saying that's better or worse, but I do agree that the first 3 do feel more like a trilogy than the new 3, than the sequel trilogy. Those feel the most disconnected out of all of them.
For
It,
real.
it reminds me of Lord of the Rings, where Lord of the Rings, all 3 movies feel like just one complete
Yeah.
One
trilogy.
big story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the first Star Wars, when it ends, it ends. It did not have to continue.
Mhm.
So that's why, to me, like Empire does it. Empire, they obviously it ties into the first movie, but if it didn't exist, you wouldn't feel like you were missing something. Whereas with the other ones, you would. If they just stopped after Phantom Menace, you'd be like, well, what is this? Is this little kid? It just ends with Anakin. And like, what did we learn here?
Yeah, exactly.
Or like Lord of the
That-
Rings,
yeah.
they didn't come out with the second 2. You're like, okay,
Well, you had to.
standing there in the
because
woods,
It was planned that way because
That's-
you had to
yeah.
show how Darth Vader first had
That's
his
what I mean.
humble
That's the
beginning.
only one that was planned as a trilogy, I think.
Right.
That's usually with trilogy movies. The first one feels separate, but part 2 and 3 of the trilogy is always a little bit more connected. Because after the success of the first one, they're like, okay, now we need to do a trilogy. So let's make 2 and 3. And it never really fits,
That's true.
So
Matrix,
perfect example.
like that.
Matrix.
Yeah.
2
And-
and 3 flows better, but it's disconnected from the first one. And
Right.
the first one is still the best one.
It is.
Yeah, 1 feels like a
It is.
movie, and then 2 and 3 feel like a
Like
two-part
another
movie.
movie. Yeah.
And right now, not to do a shameless plug, but like on the Action Podcast, we're doing Pirates.
Yeah.
And the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie is just perfect. And then
Awesome.
2 and 3 feels like one big 6-hour movie, pretty much. That doesn't have nothing to do with the first one.
Right.
Back to the Future.
That's how it is.
Another
Back
one.
To the Future. Yep,
Yeah.
another one.
2 and 3 are connected, but it's disconnected from 1, really. You know what I
Really,
mean?
yeah. Like it didn't even have to go there.
Mhm.
You know, and that was and there's a lot of franchises out there that start that way.
Yeah.
A lot of them that do.
I mean,
But,
the only ones that don't are the ones that are based on like books, like Hunger Games. Like they know they're going to make all of them. Harry Potter.
Yeah,
They
Harry
know
Potter
they're
too,
going to
yeah.
make all of them.
Right.
Hobbit.
Right.
Well, Hobbit
Twilight.
they stretched, but Twilight. I hate those movies, but honestly, yeah, they have a roadmap because they have all the books, whereas these are original. Star Wars are original, so they don't have that plan. Like, okay, we're definitely gonna make 5. You know
That's
what I
a
mean?
good point. Yeah, that's true. Harry Potter is a perfect example. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an 8-part movie. Honestly, it feels like.
It really is. It really is.
Mhm.
And you see them grow up in the whole thing. They were
good stuff.
kids. They were little kids in the beginning, and then they were like
Yeah.
pretty much young adults by the end.
So my answer on
So-
Last Jedi, right in the middle. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. But it doesn't
All right.
rank high for me either.
So
Like, I can
Nate
do
sits
that.
on the fence. Pablo loves it. I
So
hate
it's a
the
tie.
crap out of it. So
Yeah, it's just a tie.
Nate is like in the middle there.
I guess I would say I lean towards overall not being a fan if I had to. I guess I'm a little let me go this way. I'm a little Ralph side. More I dislike more than I like. I'll put it that way. But I
Okay,
don't hate
fair enough.
I don't think it's horrible.
Which is cool, and that's why we love movies, and we have
Yeah.
and we have different opinions. I think is where I kind of like it really irks me is when someone like doesn't like a movie and they just crap on it, to the point that they make it sound like if you did like it, then there's something wrong with you,
You're an
or you're an idiot, or how dare you? How can you like this movie? You're a moron or you're stupid. That's when you cross that line, or when you hear these critics or these guys on YouTube talking, and they make it sound like if you don't agree with me, or if you disagree, then you're wrong and I'm right.
I haven't come across those, maybe because I don't want to.
Star Wars
Well,
fans are
It's a
I haven't
lack
come
of
Toxic.
across them.
it's a lack of nuance in their review, right? Like I can watch a movie 120 minutes and I can like 50 of them and I could think the other 70 didn't work. And so maybe I'm more negative, but that doesn't mean the whole entire thing is like a waste of your time. And you may like it more. It's subjective, right? So
Of course.
I agree with Pablo. I hate that. I run into people like that all the time. Like, oh, I'll give something a positive score and be like, oh, you can't be trusted. I'm like, okay, then don't trust me. I don't even know who you first of all. Like,
Really, you got that? They used to. You got.
I got
thrown
that. Yeah, I got that on my Indiana Jones review. Oh,
You-
you
really?
I cannot. But anything you say, and I just said thanks for watching. What do you want me to do? I mean, I'm not here
Let
to
me tell you,
convince you.
I
of anything.
actually
I'm just telling
got.
you what I
I
thought.
actually got blasted from me when I was talking about when I made a video about how much I hated Omen 4. That horrible.
But it is horrible. But you were right. I wouldn't have blasted you on that one. I would have agreed with
Somebody blasted me on that one. I
Omen 4.
Yeah,
Ralph, we
and
can't
I-
be friends anymore.
and
That's
I
it.
and I was like, no, I didn't even know the guy, and he just was like insulting me back and forth, and I was like
Well-
in my brain saying, this guy,
you. Could be a
must-
troll.
it must be a troll. It must have been a troll. I just ignored it.
Or a fan of the first 3.
I just ignored it. I was like, I'm not.
You know what's funny
I'm not
though,
giving that attention.
and not to like hijack your show or anything, but this it's as far as reviewing goes, because I do so many of them, and I only watch a couple of people, honestly, because they tend to be fair, objective, and I agree. Sometimes I agree, sometimes I don't. But one thing that I hate what Paolo mentioned. I hate when people like if they don't like it, that means no one should like it. Just absolutely not. Everyone should hate it because I hate it, which is incorrect. And when you're reviewing a movie, I think there are films that are, your enjoyment of a film is subjective, but there are objective things you can criticize, right? Like there is a such thing as bad acting. There is a such thing as bad direction. There is a such thing as bad CGI. There's a such thing as all these things.
Bad dialogue.
Bad dialogue.
Bad
and,
writing, yeah.
and someone can still like that movie. So like Ralph, to your point, Omen 4 is objectively a bad film. Like the acting is terrible. The effects are terrible. It's a Canadian TV movie that they put like it's a regular movie, right? Objectively. But people can still like it. There's some movies that I like that are bad, right? It's just when you do that whole thing of like, well, you're an idiot because I like this and you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like if
You can't really
somebody
do much
was
about
to
it.
tell me, well, you know what, I really like if the guy came across and to me as being respectful and gave me reasons why he did like Omen 4, I would have respected that. For real. I'm like, okay. You know, in my brain, I would have been like, well, you're wrong, but I wouldn't have said it. I wouldn't have said it. I would have
can't be
been. I
wrong
would have
for
kept it
liking
to
it.
myself. I would
You
like.
just
I would have been
maybe
quiet.
be wrong for thinking it's good. There's a difference. I like things. I can like something that I know is not good because it gave me some entertainment value, right?
Oh yeah, there's so
I
many
know-
movies out there like eye candy. You know, like
I know this movie sucks, but I like to watch it because there might be one little nugget of a reason. So, you know, and maybe that's him. Maybe that's the Omen 4 guy. And he's
For me,
you're
it's
just an idiot.
for me, it's Friday the 13th series. Like I
Oh,
know
most
they're
of them
bad.
stink.
They are terrible. but I
One,
can sit
two,
there and
three,
watch them
I watch them
Four.
all day
That's
long.
it. That's
watch
it.
it.
From part 1 to 4. That's it.
No, 6 is the best one.
No,
6
Oh,
is
I
the,
love 6.
6 is the best. It's Frankenstein mixed with Friday the 13th. It's the best
Now,
one.
1 to 4,
hands
the
down.
final chapter. That's
6
it.
is the one that they
3
knew.
sucks.
They knew
Yeah.
what this
Really?
was. And they were like, we're gonna go for it. You know, we know this is silly. We know this is
Yeah.
dumb, and let's go for it.
And well,
And it
they
was-
that's what they did. They
but
they
then
knew
in
what they were
7,
doing.
they went back to we have
Then
to
they
make
mixed
them
it with Carrie.
serious.
She
Yeah,
was
they
like
had
a
to-
telekinesis and all this.
yeah,
stuff.
you know. So they're goofy movies,
They're
and we
goofy
watch them
fun.
because
Then he
you know
went to Manhattan.
That one's bad.
And he took a trip to the
Jason
Grand Canyon.
X is a lot of fun.
That was
It's hilarious.
I laughed my head off. on that.
It's,
Yeah.
That was
It's
hilarious.
But 6 is awesome. 3 is boring. And, you know, it is what it is. And 5 is the worst. 5 is, I think, the worst.
yeah. Five is
Yeah.
bad.
And Frankie says here, at the end of the day, I like what I like. I don't give a flying toot what people think, as long as I'm entertained and escape my problems. For a couple
Exactly.
hours.
Perfect.
And that's what it's
the-
about.
He
What
couldn't
I'm
have said it
saying.
better. Couldn't have said it better
That's
myself.
what it's about.
That's why we go to
Information.
the movies, to escape and
Right.
just for a few hours just enjoy it. And if it's bad and we didn't like it, then okay, at least you know. At the end of the day, someone out there tried to make good entertainment. You know,
Exactly.
and you gotta
Exactly.
give them credit for it. You know, even if it didn't work for you.
Exactly.
Well said. And Frankie, well said. I agree. I do reviews, but if someone disagrees with me, that's cool. And if someone agrees with me, that's also cool. And if they don't watch it, that's cool too. You know what I mean? Like, I always say, no matter what I say, go see the movie for yourself. Because I may
Exactly.
give it a 2 out of 10 and you might give it a 9. See it. I'm not telling you don't see it. I'm just telling you I didn't like it and why. And vice
Exactly.
versa.
Exactly. Well, guys, it is 10:08, and we're gonna end it here. I don't want to make these things last too long. But Nate, I want to thank you for dropping
Oh,
in
yeah.
and
With the
giving
old
us your
Geeks and Flicks stimulus package. Come on
Yeah,
here in the
absolutely.
last 15 minutes.
Absolutely. What's your topic next week?
Next week. Okay, so this week we got the Indiana Jones show on Wednesday.
Okay.
And then next Monday, it's going to be the same. So Alex is doing a new, I don't want to spoil it. He's doing something new that he's going to introduce on that show. We're going to
Okay.
do box office like we always do. And then we're going through all those DC animated movies. So we're doing the next 2 and we have a guest.
Oh, cool.
Turner Fan
Okay.
77. He's going to come on. And I know on the Action podcast, we're having guests. I think Pablo, you're going to be coming on, right?
I'm
So-
going to do X-Men 2 and The Island.
The best X-Men movie, by the way. Yes, on the island. Yeah, exactly. So we have guests coming on. So I've told everybody, do your homework, listen to a lot of episodes, and know our format, and get your scores ready. And so yeah, we're trying to invite some people. Ralph, we're gonna have you on in October for sure because we're gonna be doing Psycho, the whole all four Psycho movies.
Oh, yeah, I want
Yeah.
in.
So early,
Love
well, that's not bad, it's
Psycho.
3 months, but we only do every other week, so it's like 7 shows from now, pretty much. So
That's
yeah.
cool.
Hold on. Frankie just asked a question about this. Did you guys see the photo of Wolverine's yellow outfit in Deadpool 3?
I love it. It looks like the 90s Wolverine.
That was
It's about
legit, huh?
time.
That was
Yeah, it's legit.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
Also,
okay.
I want to say, Ralph, you have to go. I got out of a screening tonight for this A24 movie called Talk to Me.
Oh, I
You
want to
have
see that.
It is my favorite horror movie of this year. I don't see anything beating it. It's gonna be tough.
Oh, okay.
I don't see anything on the agenda.
When does it
The
officially
28th.
come out? Okay. All right. I'm definitely gonna go
I went
check
to
it
this
out.
mo-
I'm
the
gonna
Regal
definitely
mystery
review
movie.
it
Yeah,
here on the Horror and Coffee channel and stuff like
right?
that.
It was unsettling. It
Uh,
was, and I don't get scared. I'm not an easily scared person. I was like, ugh, and I said ew like twice out loud
oh
to
boy.
myself, not like super loud.
Nice.
I was just like, ew.
All
this
right,
is
I'm
gross.
looking forward to seeing that one. Thank you for the heads
That's
up
my
on
review.
that.
Go see it.
That's great. All right, guys, this is our first episode of the Lightsaber Cafe, and I appreciate you guys coming to see this. Again, this is from Dark Wolf Sabers, the company. This is the Luke Skywalker / Anakin Skywalker Graflex Saber that we're all familiar with, and I hope to see you guys next time here on the Saber Cafe. This is the first of many. If you like this content, consider subscribing and tap on the bell for future notifications for future Lightsaber Cafe content. And if you're a horror fan, horror and coffee content. I hope you guys enjoy, have a good night, and may the Force be with you all. All right. Thank you, Pablo. Thank you, Nate.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
Pleasure always. Have a good night, guys.
Good night.